November 10th at 5:26 p.m. Roll call.
Alderman Madden.
Here.
Alderman Kubaki.
Here.
Alderman Engelhardt.
Here.
Alderman Kapusta.
Here.
Alderman Terrence.
Here.
Alderman Hamel.
Here.
Alderman Wolf.
Here.
And Mayor Petfalski is here. We have a quorum.
Are you okay with recordings, or do you need to pause? Do you need to stop and start, or are you good?
I'm good.
Okay. All right. Statement of public notice.
The meeting was noticed in accordance with the open meeting law.
Approval of the agenda.
So moved.
I don't know how they got in there. Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor of the agenda as prepared, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of the minutes from October 13th, 2020.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Moving on to new business. Discussion regarding the Idle Owl lease with the water bugs. In your packet, there was a memo. Actually, I was rather pleased with the memo and research that our law intern Robert did for you. Gives a little background on the water bugs. I shouldn't say the pavilion at Idle Isle. Similar to what we went through a couple months ago with the pavilion over at Vets Park, when that was originally built, and as the memo goes through and describes, the pavilion was going to be rebuilt to a certain standard. They asked the water bugs if they wanted to continue to use it for storage, that the water bugs would have to pay for that additional cost for the storage, which they did. At that time, there was what turns out to be an unwritten agreement, but there was a verbal agreement and was the spirit of it. And I believe Alderman Madden was probably on council at that time. And correct me if I'm wrong on it, but the idea was that they would spread that out over 10 years at the time. There was a part in there where, for some reason, it was either cash flow from the water bugs or something, but they asked to have, at say the 7-year mark, have it extended to 5 years, so that payment went down for a few more years. But ultimately, they paid it all off. A couple of years ago, and Jeff probably can clue you in better. 2016, new lease was written for that, and instead of returning to the $1 per year as they originally thought it was going to happen, it went to, is it $400?
At the time, it was 6 something, and then it went down because they used less space.
So the water bugs have approached us and asked if we could honor the original plan on that, which was to let them use it for the $1 a year lease, like we are doing with the festival committee for the pavilion. So that's why it's here today. What's everyone's thoughts?
It's $692,
No, it was 580 something.
and it went down to $542.
Yeah.
So right now, it's at $542 a month.
But there's no record of the total payments that we received, I read in there, right? I mean, I'm assuming if you do the math, it comes up
Yeah,
to
if you do the
90-some
math, it does
thousand,
come
but,
out.
but we have no records of the payments?
We would. I doubt if we're not current. I think I would
Okay.
have heard
I
about
don't,
it.
I don't think there's a problem. I was just questioning what was in there, that's all.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident they're making us whole. They're paying every
So
month.
they only want the storage part, if I read that correctly?
The part that they're using for is storage, yes.
Yeah.
Because the concession is no longer for them?
They haven't been doing concessions. They've,
I know
in fact,
what-
I think, wasn't the city actually going to start
That's
doing
what I
that, but
thought.
because of COVID this year?
Thoughts about it?
So you guys know more about that than I do, but
Yeah.
because
They
of
have a truck
COVID,
or something that
it
comes,
never
right?
came to fruition this year.
Right. No.
So, my thought is, we had these nice agreements with these service organizations to improve our facilities, and it doesn't seem like over the years that we honored what the spirit of it was, or in some cases, the written agreement was.
But plus they paid for part of it as well, just like.
Well, that's what I meant by
Just
the
like
agreement.
Veterans Park.
Right. They paid for the expansion on there was a clear intent at that time that this was supposed to be, we paid off and we're done. And that's what they're asking for.
Well, we did the same thing for the festival people. I think we should
Right.
do the same thing for the water bugs, so, yeah.
So if everyone's okay with that, in the
makes
next couple months, next couple meetings or so, we'll get a new lease drafted.
Great. We'll just put the lease together for $1.
Yeah. Everyone okay with that?
Sounds good.
All right.
Yes.
Do we want to state in there that they're all caught up or something? I mean, do we have something showing all that so that we we go through for future committees or,
Sure. Well, we can let the minutes reflect that. And
okay, just so it's somewhere record that,
If you want,
Where
just,
we're at.
yeah, you can just, actually, if somebody wants to make a motion to direct me to come back. if
I'll
they're
make
not.
that motion.
Is there a second?
John,
Second.
or
Second. So all those in favor of me coming back if they're not current? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. All right. Next item is an update on the Sandy Beach Recreation Trail. So the rec trail, do you want to come up, Scott, a little? Probably explain it better. But the rec trail headed that We Energies right away, one that goes through the main part of the city. Evidently, a bridge was taken out a number of years ago and wasn't replaced at the time because of costs.
Correct. So
So We Energies owned it originally, and is that what it was?
they
Or they just used it?
own it. We use it as our trail.
Okay.
It's right now a detour route. And it's just
The trail comes to an end.
it comes to an end. If you've been down there, it ends one side, it ends the other. They took it out 2 years ago. We Energies did. The first time, my predecessor, Dave Simpson, the first time he brought it to Public Works, I think it was $285,000. John was, Alderman Engelhardt was on there, was right around the rough frame to replace this bridge.
Yep.
So the mayor tasked myself to look at options and what we could do. So what the plan of our attack was, we went out there, Ryan from DPW, myself, what our plan is to get a vendor to set a 84-inch pipe. The 84-inch pipe is the same pipe that's on Woods Roads, so it's the same kind of going through it. DPW would do all the backfilling, all the riprap is already there on the sides, the bridge is already out, and then we would fill it over. The 2 barricades that are in there, we'd take those probably and reuse them as our railings. It would be pedestrian only. We put some maybe bollards up or whatever. We Energies doesn't care if it's pedestrian only because they can access it from both sides. Setting the pipe only would be $70,000 and we do the rest of the work. I already pulled the Army Corps of Engineering's permit and the DNR permit, so I pulled all those. And I pulled the city permits because we work for the city, so that was a pretty easy one. We got it down to the cost of $70,000 just for them to set the pipe, and we're doing all the work ourselves. So it's not a bad deal.
I thought we
Wasn't that
had-
gonna be a box culvert, a big box culvert?
Yeah, well, but that at
Real
the time would have been
expensive.
like, could take a load of a vehicle.
Yep.
We don't need a load of vehicle.
Yeah.
We
I thought there was something that where it went up to it, you could go further down and around or something. We were gonna do that. I remember-
That's a private road. Remember, that's a private driveway, and we can't access that private driveway.
I didn't
You
know
will
what
have to
it
go
was.
all the way up to Woods Road to detour around it. It's kind of a pain.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that most of you haven't heard from people over
I
time
have.
about this.
That's,
It's-
yeah, it's a lot of people.
I
like
have.
that, yeah.
Now pedestrian includes bike riders though,
Oh, yes,
Oh,
yes.
absolutely. Yeah,
This is
not
just a
motorized
drainage
traffic.
ditch?
not motorized.
It's a stream. It's a stream.
creek.
It's a stream from that is a lot of the subdivisions in the area. It's a stream that Candlewood, some of those other subdivisions, all their area flows down, flows past
Plum
our,
Creek, essentially?
flows underneath Woods Road and then flows to Bass Bay.
Yep.
That's what it
It's
is.
just east of,
Put a toll bridge there?
it's just east
Put a
of.
toll bridge on it.
Good idea.
If you want to work it.
It's pretty darn small. If you would
just
go
kidding.
out there,
Yeah.
it's small. It's a small little bridge. And like I said, what you need is, it's a culvert pipe. It's a culvert pipe that we're gonna backfill.
Yeah, it's
And
just pedestrian only, so.
pedestrian.
That's fine.
We have money in this year's landfill
Yeah.
account that we can
Yeah.
just transfer over. It's.
And you'll do this in spring or?
Oh, we're gonna do it now.
Now?
We're gonna do it right now. and
We're
get
gonna do it
done
now.
with. So.
I'm just letting you know, I mean, we have the time, we have the staff to do it. You know,
So the pipe is how long?
it's an 84-inch diameter.
Yeah.
It's 54 feet long.
It's $70,000 just for the pipe?
Yeah, and setting it. You got to get the material and you got to set it.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's a big pipe.
Yeah, I know it's a big
Where's
pipe,
Bailey?
but it seems like that's a lot of pipe.
But guys, from the original cost of $285,000, I,
here's the bike trail.
I
here,
can't get
right?
it any cheaper for you. I'm
No,
trying
I'm
to
not
be,
asking, I just was
be
wondering.
honest with you.
I tried working on We Energies to get them to pay for it.
No, they said they took it down. They said, no.
Yeah.
We don't need it, yeah.
Yeah, so just,
Yeah,
I
here's the
mean,
bike trail.
you know,
I don't see
DPW
it
guys,
on
us
here.
doing as much as
Am I
we
down
can,
farther?
using our material and
Never
stuff,
been that way.
so.
Where's the creek that comes
But-
through there?
So more informational than anything else, but
Right here.
unless there's any objections, we're going to move forward with
Is it
that.
right there?
All right.
Do we have to approve this then? or-
No, not really. It was more
I think
information.
anything over $50,000.
Yeah.
If we're,
We
It's
have,
right
we have an
there. That needs
operation
to go right
budget,
over.
so
to go around. what
there's
they
a
have to do
operation
is
called urban
come back
water
up here and
drainage
go up there and
system
come
of
back
$100,000 operating.
Section
We're gonna
and come
use
back
it out
over.
of that fund to do it.
there
It's a,
and-
it's a vendor setting a
Go all the
pipe.
way around.
If you
So really, it
wanna
wasn't usable.
do
you
it,
want to make the motion, that's fine.
We
Yeah.
probably should, so it's, again, on
That's
record,
fine.
that's what
Yeah.
I'm thinking, just so that,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll make the motion.
If you wanna know the company, it's DF Tomasini. Okay.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor of replacing the bridge with this culvert, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimous. Thank you. Last item is, there was a memo in your packet. I think I've mentioned it to you guys a number of times. In fact, I know I have. I've been having discussions with the baseball organizations, trying to work out a number of things. Ideally, what we're working on is trying to get them all to come together and almost like the festival committee, where the different service organizations have formed this parent organization called the festival committee. And that way with the festival, we just deal with the festival. We don't deal with the Lions Club and the VFW and the chamber. And then, it just makes things simpler. Well, Tammy's life starting in January every year is dealing with each of these separate clubs, trying to schedule the fields and who's got priority over whom and all the different coaches and everything. So what I've been working with them to try to do something similar, where they do some organization called something like Muskego Baseball LLC. So we would only have one entity to deal with. By by having one entity to deal with, we could do agreements where we take all the fields that they're interested in, which is mainly Park Arthur and Kurth Park, and just say, here's the fields, you guys schedule them, you guys deal with it amongst yourself, keep us out of it. At the end of the beginning of the year, here we'll document what condition they're in. At the end of the year, we'll check it. If there's anything wrong, they are responsible for getting them back into the condition that they were given to. We're still working through that part of it.
That's cutting the grass and everything before the games, and is that part of that
The
too?
field prep would be, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so they would be responsible for doing their own prep for the games. If they want to contract out to anyone, they can. If they want to do it themselves, they can.
Because right now, we're contracting that out for
Right
them,
now,
right?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're still working through that part of it. But as part of the replacing the 3 smaller diamonds at Park Arthur that came up, Ryan talked to you guys during Capitol, the meeting I wasn't here, and said that he would like to do an alternate on putting AstroTurf on those 3 diamonds. And the idea of that is you wouldn't have to have any prep costs on it. They're playable. They can, it rains an hour later, you can go play on them. There's no, it's just so much of a better idea. Costs are about $100,000 above and beyond what our cost would be to just redo the fields. So I approached.
That's for all 3.
For all 3, not each, yes. So 100,000 total. So I've talked to the baseball organizations, and before we get too far into the details, they're interested in this. They're not committed to it yet, but they're interested in it. If we would front the $100,000 and they would pay it back over, we're saying like 10 years. Their payments for that would probably be less than what they are paying now for field prep, from them doing the math on it. So the teams that would be paying into it right now would be, and excuse me if I'm missing anyone, but the Muskego Warriors, Muskego Junior Warriors, the MAA, Storm Boys, and Storm Girls. So they would be paying into this. The groups so when they use it, they would have their annual payment for the turf, but right now, so they would just use the field. If somebody else from the outside comes in and wants to use those fields when they're not, they would have priority over them, but there's times those fields still aren't being used. We would come up with a turf fee, per se, that they would pay, similar like a prep fee, but that those fees would then be segregated because the turf has a life. it's pretty long because it's just little kids playing on it, but it still has a life and has to be replaced. So we would use this turf feed to build a fund to replace it. And then say 10 or 15 years when it needs to be replaced, whatever that fund can offset is one part. And then this organization would be responsible for we would enter another 10-year agreement moving forward.
So we would probably plan on fronting the money at that point again.
We may or may not need to at that point, but it's 10 years down the line. We can work that out however it
Well,
goes.
the reason I bring that up is what I'm thinking is that we can plan that out and we can put 10,000 away in escrow 10 a year. So instead of coming with 100 grand, and then, if they need it, then we front it and they pay us back. So we
Sure.
can have a plan.
So we
in
could do
place.
that. Now, that's a pretty good idea. The one thing that we got to remember is replacing the turf in 10 years isn't going to be 100,000.
No.
Well, maybe.
Right.
Because all you're doing is replacing the carpeting. You're not doing the curbing and everything else. So it's a fraction of the cost. So for one, is there any objection to doing this? Does anyone like this?
Just a question,
Yeah.
what if the whole scheme changes with the association or group that we're putting together with them? I mean, asking,
Well, we're going to have a contract with them.
yeah. So do we need further assurance in that area at all? In case the Warriors or one of the groups bowed out or something? on us in that
Well, one of the
period?
groups could
What would that
bow out
do?
of it, but that organization would still be left intact. So if there's 4 organizations, one may bow out, two,
Yep.
you could have 2 more join it. You don't, that's up to them.
So our confidence is that they keep a viable organization during those
A
10 years.
viable, yes.
Yeah.
Is that something that we want to have somebody on, like I'm just throwing this out there.
Liaison?
Library committee, do we want to have, I'm not necessarily
Festival
volunteering,
committee?
but,
Trusted other people.
I haven't been in the. meetings.
Volunteering?
I mean, I would, yes, I would do it if we needed somebody. Does it make sense for us to have a hand in it? I don't necessarily know we need to. Just kind of throwing that out there. For
I
some
don't
of
know,
that.
what are
case
your
of-
thoughts on,
Well, it's its own corporation.
Yes.
So they'd have to agree to that rather than I just put somebody on. My guess is we let them be, they form their corporation. They do
And then we
what
put-
they
okay.
want, and, we just kind of let it be at that. We could ask them, but I think they may say, why do you want to come in?
I mean,
Water stuff.
Yeah, no, totally fine.
Well, in the bylaws, maybe we should, I mean, they gotta work with the city on, the maintenance part, but maybe there should be like a certain period of time, like halfway through the season, they have to check in. I mean, they gotta put something in.
We would definitely-
Concrete in there,
we would definitely have a facilities use agreement with them of what, how this scheduling would work with outside groups and software that, how they would have access to our software for the scheduling and all that. I mean, yes, there's lots of details.
I'm more worried about the field
Sure.
staying in good shape. I mean,
And all of that is all part of the details. I just didn't want to get too far into this.
I do have one question about the details though. Since we'll do the turf in the infield, the outfield will be.
Grass,
It'll be grass.
And that'll just be cut as a park?
yes,
Right, normal, and if anything else they want done, they'll have to do their own?
yes.
Okay.
The only question I have is, should this be an interest-free transaction, or should there be tied a nominal amount of interest? We are using public funds, and those public funds are not generating income. Of course, nothing generates income now, but they're not generating income for the city.
I mean,
That's entirely up to you guys.
my thought would be that you're still going to have groups that use those fields in and around these times that, like I was out there this weekend with my girls, we didn't take time.
Right.
So I think it's still going to be looked at as a public improvement. I know we're putting out the money, but we are getting something from that, right? We're getting.
Well, a
the
fraction of the city is getting use out of
Well,
that.
if you look at
Not the bulk
what
of
we
the
did with the water bugs in Idle Isle, or what we did with Veterans Park, where they donated money into I don't know, we funded that up front and they paid us back.
This
At
is
least-
actually, in this
it's
one,
similar.
actually, the public will have more use and access to it than
Idle Isle
the
or
Idle Isle storage facility, where no one has access to it.
But I think it's on the same concept as what I'm getting to. I mean, I like your idea there, but I don't know. I mean, we got so much invested in that park already. Let's just keep it going and keep it nice. I hate to keep putting money into it, I'll tell you that.
Is this should be coming out of landfill funds because
Yeah.
that's what they're here for. So we're
Yes.
not really using tax dollars.
Well,
We're
it's
using-
no, he said public finance, and he's correct. It is public money.
Public money, yeah.
Yeah.
So this turf fee that is being thrown about, who would be paying that? So
Anyone that's not part of that,
if a dad
Organization.
goes out there with his kids, he's gonna have to pay a turf fee?
he can go use it. However, if he hasn't if he reserves the field, like I want to use it for an hour, yes, there's a turf fee. If he's just going to go out there and use it and pick up a game and be playing
And
on
it'll
it.
be up to them. They might let
And-
people just go out there for an hour or
Yeah,
something.
well, and if somebody else just goes out there, say you're just using it, you can just go use it. So if a group that's reserved it comes in, yeah, you're going to have to leave, just like you do now.
Yeah, then that's what I want clarification on, because I'm fine with it if somebody goes out there, a group reserves the field because that's their time. That should cost something because that is theirs. If somebody just wants to go out there and roll the dice and show up and try to get some practice in, I don't think we should be charging them for that.
No, and that's kind of what the thought process is, at least.
So I know that when Ryan was here and we talked, there was no concrete $100,000. So that's the big question right now in my mind is what is the cost?
So,
This was just a hypothetical.
no, we do have an alternate bid right now, a rough number, but we'll get a hard number.
I mean, because
Yeah, you're
it was just thrown out there and it'd probably be 100,000 extra, so.
Yeah, he did actually give some estimates right now that he has emailed, and I can share that with all you.
No, that's
Probably, and I
fine.
should have had it, I should have had it in the
If it's
packet.
close, it's not a big deal, right?
Yeah, no, it is. And it still has to be bid, but, it's,
$100,000,
yeah, that's what we're looking at roughly.
But again, I'd like to just reiterate, that I'd like to come up with a plan for the future that if we know it's a 10-year plan, that we start escrowing something into there so we don't have another big bill come up when.
So what I can do is whoever gets awarded the bid, when we do this, I can ask them for what their costs, like if they were just returfing it right now, what that cost would be. And we can use that as an estimate. And,
Sure, add 10% on or something.
Yeah, and put some kind of escalator on it and then we could just work that into our parks budget every year.
Easy enough.
Anything else?
This whole plan sounds better than where we were at before.
All right, I appreciate it. I think that's all. Lost my page. Any communications or miscellaneous business? Hearing none, the motion to adjourn would be in order.
Make a motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned at 5:47 PM.